afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Advantech Inside Studio, broadcasting live from COMPUTEX 2025, where tech drives innovation here. Okay, so today, this is Victoria. We're diving into the topic of transformative world, end-to-end edge AI development. So joining me now is Madav Murali, Mohan, Senior Director of Business Development at Qualcomm. Hello, Madav.
Good afternoon, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. Okay, thank you. So very good to have you here. So we would like to set some stage by exploring the key challenges developers face in building edge AI solutions these days, especially when it comes to the landscape of edge AI. So people think there are some significant hurdles they might encounter. So developers encounter when creating these solutions, how are they navigating the complex terrain?
Absolutely. So, when you think about edge AI development and you go through the whole journey of edge AI development, there are some challenges that almost everybody goes through. And we kind of put it into almost 5 or 6 buckets, and I will briefly touch upon each one of those, right? So the first one that when you do any edge AI development, the most important thing is you need to have the right data. Data is very, very important, edge data, but data is also the most difficult to find, because what happens is when you collect data, there are reports that say that around 90% of the data that you collect is discarded because it is bad data. Data needs to be good, data needs to have good labels, it needs to be of good quality, it needs to be of the right source. So getting data is a very big challenge for the edge AI development, and that's the biggest one in some sense. After that, it comes into the good problem of choice, because there are so many AI models today. So for example, if you want to do a object detection edge AI development, there are so many models you can choose from. How do you choose the right model? That becomes the next decision that you have to do in some form. This follows, okay, after that you have to tune the model. When do you tune the model? How much do you tune? When do you optimize? When do you not optimize? A lot of decisions there. Okay, now you got the data, you got the model, you have tuned it, you have something in your hand. You have to figure out some way of testing and validating it, right? And so for that, you need to get the right hardware, you need to have the right devices to go test it. That becomes the follow-on next decision or challenge that you'll have to address. Okay, so then you finish that process, you have everything ready. Then the question comes up, how do I go deploy it? There are some devices in the field, there are some in the manufacturing. How do you make sure that this model reaches each one of these, or the applications are there in every one of those things? And say we figure that one too. Then finally, it's about how do you maintain all of these things? Because models, like everything else, drift over a period of time. The data changes. So you need to have a feedback loop or a closed loop to get everything back, right? So this whole thing are as you go through the journey of edge AI development, these are some of the key challenges that everybody goes through. The good news is there are tools, and Qualcomm has a bunch of tools that we have put together that make this whole process very seamless.
Qualcomm has been long a leader, especially in advancing AI technology. So can you share how Qualcomm is empowering developers, especially to overcome these edge AI challenges and accelerate innovation?
Absolutely. So the way, what we have done with Qualcomm is we have put together a combination of tools that all of them work very seamlessly. And there are three main tools that we have. The first one is Edge Impulse. Edge Impulse is an acquisition that we made recently. And Edge Impulse is a edge AI development platform. What it means is it helps you collect the data, it helps you add synthetic data, it helps you label the data, does all the data pre-processing. And another tool that we have, which is seamlessly integrated here, is the AI Hub. AI Hub is a model zoo or a model repository that we have within Qualcomm. And in AI Hub, we have different AI models that have been optimized for the Qualcomm platform. So between Edge Impulse and AI Hub, we are able to address the thing about identifying the right model that is optimized for the right hardware, collecting the data, training the data, putting all of those things together. So now you have an AI model that's ready. The next seamless portion of this becomes, we even have, how do you deploy it onto most of this go into an application, right? So for that, we even have Visual Studio extensions where you can take these models that you have developed and you can very easily embed that into an application. And then we have the third major tool that we have, which is called Foundaries.ai. And Foundries is a secure DevOps environment that also helps to do fleet management. So once you have the model developed with Edge Impulse based on the models that are available in AI Hub or optimized it with the AI Hub, then you have applications that you can develop with Visual Studio extensions that we have built. And then you have Foundries to go and deploy this. So with this combination of these three tools plus some of the SDKs that we provide, we are able to do a seamless end-to-end tool chain for Edge AI development across within the Qualcomm platform.
Okay, you just mentioned about the Edge Impulse. I
Yes.
think it is a pivotal tool in the space. So how does it enable developers to build robust and efficient Edge AI solutions? And what makes it a game changer?
Absolutely. So, we are very, very excited about having Edge Impulse within the Qualcomm family now. So this Edge Impulse, as I mentioned before, is an end-to-end Edge AI development platform. It has around, when we started, it is so popular that, when we started writing this slide, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we were still at 170,000 developers. But now in the 2 weeks since then, we have more than 190,000
Wow, it
developers
grows
that
so
have registered.
rapidly.
So they're growing
Yeah.
very rapidly. So what makes Edge Impulse so special and so interesting is the fact that this is the largest or the most with the bigger developers community on end-to-end for Edge AI development. What it does is it does a few things. One is it helps you collect data. So you can take time series data, you can take audio data, you can also do video, pictures, you can get all those data. It will help you on top of the data, you can collecting it from the real world. It will also help you do synthetic data because you need to have a lot of data to build these models. So Edge Impulse helps you add synthetic data to it. And then it also has its own repository of foundational models that we can leverage from. Or with the tie-in from AI Hub, you can go and take additional foundational models, right? Or the models that are optimized. With that, and also there is a wizard which makes it very easy for you to go build any kind of application because it's like, click, 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 click. And before you realize, you have created an application. In fact, a few months ago, when I was trying this out, I started doing with an audio wizard, and within like 30 minutes, I was able to create an Edge AI application that could train my voice for a wake-up keyword, and I was able to create that application and download it onto an end device and test and validate. It was very, very quick because there was a wizard that I could just go use, right? So a lot of developers, lot of applications, fully integrated with the Qualcomm platform. So all the DragonWing processors can be easily, once you build a model, you can optimize it, quantize it very quickly for the Qualcomm platform here. But one very important thing is, Edge Impulse was before they just became part of the Qualcomm family like a month ago. But what Edge Impulse also does is they have support for multiple semiconductor providers, right? So you could go select and you can say, I want from chipset vendor A, I want to optimize this model for that. You can go do that. Chipset vendor somebody else, you can go do it. So that amount of neutrality that the tool provides though is something that is very valuable because it will help you build an application, and you can then decide to figure out which is the best chipset that you want to run on it within the Qualcomm family or outside the Qualcomm family. And that's the reason why Edge Impulse is very popular, and we are so excited to have a tool like this within our family and be able to offer it to the developer community.
Yeah, because sometimes we need to adapt the kind of apps or ops. So here we see Edge Impulse is really promising to fix all the problems in the future. So Qualcomm's AI Hub and Foundries.io are also making waves. So we would like to know more about it.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, so Edge Impulse is the key cornerstone or the key pillar of the chain, of the tool chain. But we also have two additional complementary tools that are useful for this whole Edge AI development process. The first one is what we call as Qualcomm AI Hub. What AI Hub is, it's basically a repository of pre-trained, pre-optimized models for the Qualcomm hardware. We have some pre-trained or pre-optimized models, but you can also bring your own model and you can use that model to go train it. And what we say is within 5 minutes and less than 5 clicks, you should be able to take a model. You should be able to identify what is the target platform you want to run on it, pick the runtime that you want to use, you identify how you want to test and validate, and we have multiple options there. It could be either on a hardware, or we even have a device cloud option for us to go test these things, and you should be able to deploy. So less than 5 minutes, less than 5 clicks, you should be able to bring your own model and make it optimized for a Qualcomm platform. That is the Qualcomm AI Hub. Complementary to that is Foundries.io. As we build this Edge AI stuff, security is very, very important. And that is why Foundries, it's a secure DevOps platform. And what it does is it helps, and specifically for embedded Linux environments. And what it does is it gets you a containerized model into it. So, you can manage your code across different versions, across different customers, across different projects, different SKUs. And what Edge Foundries does is provides a way for to be able to maintain that in a very seamless or a streamlined manner. And this is just basic code, right? And now with Edge AI, what we can do is if the Edge AI becomes an application, it just becomes one more container that the Foundries.io tool has to handle. And so you can leverage that same secure DevOps tool chain for deploying and monitoring Edge AI applications as well.
Okay, I have a following question.
Yes.
So how AI Hub enhance Edge AI development? And also, what unique deployment options Foundries.io brings to the table?
Absolutely. Building an Edge AI development application is one portion of it. But what is also equally important is identifying what is that application and how we can go deploy these things in the field, right? So to that extent, what Qualcomm has done is we have taken a whole, we are building this concept called solutions. What a solution means is it is a put together a technology of devices, tools, and applications that are very focused on either one very particular problem or an industry-specific use case. And we come up with this concept called solutions. And what solutions does is it has blueprints, it has hardware purchasing options, it gives you all the software, the AI models, everything is put together. And this is something that we want to, that will be available for the general public to go download, because this starts to help accelerate the whole solutions development or the AI development on the edge and the deployment. So you could take a model from here that is available, take that, go back to the tools that I mentioned, the AI Hub and Foundries or the Edge Impulse. Use Edge Impulse, for example, take a model from here, put it on Edge Impulse, optimize it, retrain it, add additional data that is custom to yours scenario, and then you suddenly have a new Edge AI application that becomes available, and it's like very quick. So that is one of the, so when you think about it, we think about this very holistically. Tools is great, making tools available is good, but what is very important is also making sure that there is some starting point for all of these things. And these are some examples of starting points for real world applications that we will put there that you can just go and deploy as is. But at the same time, if you want to go and customize it, you can use the tools to go customize it as well.
Okay, so we do see the tools, the solutions that does make streamline Edge AI development. But people might wonder what makes it more accessible. How does Qualcomm provide it more accessible for developers worldwide?
Absolutely. So this is an example of, so now you saw the tools that we offer, you saw all the solutions that we offer. Then the next question comes up is, okay, now what do we go do, right? So this is an example of how you would go build a solution. So in this case, Edge Impulse, you have the algorithms or the YOLO Pro or whatever the models that we have. You collect the data and then you use the Edge Impulse to use the data to train the models. Then you can take it into a hardware device, like for example, the Advantech cameras that are DragonWing based, because this is a visual model. And then you have, to the solutions that I was mentioning, you have full dashboards, and then you also have the whole setup ready, and including model monitoring and edge device monitoring. So what happens essentially now is you have an end-to-end solution that you can go build in a real world using the tools, using the solutions that we have as starting points, and using the technology and the devices that is available from Advantech and Qualcomm together. And now you can quickly put all of these things together, and then you have a easy and a fast way of building solutions. Because the reality is going to be that, even if you build the same solution, because one person's data set is going to be very different from another person's data set in many cases, in the industrial especially. So you have to train many of these things again for your particular data set. That is why having this kind of an end-to-end, the solutions as the base, the tools available, and the hardware and the whole thing put together makes it much more easy and faster to go these kind of vertical solutions development.
Okay, we still have some time, so I want to go further in details. So to wrap up your PowerPoint and presentation, so what are the 3 takeaways that you want our audience and customers to carry forward from the discussion on end-to-end Edge AI development?
Absolutely. So when you, if at the end of the day, we've been speaking about this maybe very quickly in 15, 18 minutes, but there are 3 takeaways that I want all of you to go with this, right? If you don't remember anything, just remember these 3 things.
Yeah, we can go in detail.
Yes.
Yeah, still have some time.
The first one is, there are standard challenges like everything on Edge AI development. There is the data portion of it, there is the model selection portion of it, there is the tuning portion of it, hardware portion of it, the maintenance portion of it, all of those things. The good news is, with Edge AI, with Edge Impulse, with the AI Hub, and with Foundaries.io, what Qualcomm has done is we have put together an end-to-end tool chain that makes this very seamless and makes this process very easy, right? That is the first takeaway that we want to go with. Makes it, and my request to all of you here is, if you're, just go to Edge Impulse. You can create an open account, a free account. It is very easy, it's very intuitive. Once you start doing it, you will realize how easy it is to go build an application. It is not too challenging. Second is solutions, or the portfolio of solutions that Qualcomm is putting together. That is very important, because that gives you a starting point for many of these developments. You start with the solution that is available. If it is good enough, figure out a way to deploy it, or you can use that, and that becomes the starting point to go build your own AI solution, that Edge AI solution, using the tools that we have. And the third takeaway is that, Qualcomm and Advantech, we are both leaders in our own respective fields, and we have been partnering very closely now in the concept of bringing Edge AI onto, or AI to the edge. And we have been, there's a lot of development and deployment related activities that we're doing. And this is a partnership that we believe will continue to grow in the years to come.
From these 3 takeaways, so people might wonder and go deeper, that what do you perceive and notice and observe of the Edge AI development, especially these days? What's the trend? So we have these kind of tools for them.
Yes, so this is the starting point, right? As these things become more sophisticated, there are going to be more and more enhancements that would be done. But remember, Edge AI typically is a very constrained environment. Edge devices in general are very constrained devices. And there are certain things that need to be done, and Edge AI the key in building good Edge AI products is making sure that you embrace the limited constraints or the constraints that are there on the edge devices, and making sure that you're building something that's very optimal to that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Madav, thank you for sharing such valuable insights. And we would like to know a little bit more. Let's highlight a powerful resource for developers. Advantech is ready to deploy development kits powered by Qualcomm's DragonWing QCS 6490 platform, as you see on the screen. Okay, these kits provide the hardware and software needed to fast-track IoT and Edge AI projects, enabling developers to bring their ideas to life swiftly and efficiently. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so Advantech and Qualcomm are committed, collaborating closely, okay, unlocking new possibilities for Edge AI innovation. So in the future, what do you expect for Edge AI? I think we can see more and more possibilities, right?
Oh, absolutely. We are just scratching the surface when it comes to Edge AI and Edge AI development, right? I'm pretty sure the next year when we are going to be here, there's going to be so much, like, things like we didn't talk about much, like how you can have multi-model development on the edge. How can we do that? How can you optimize that? How can you do, is it 2 models, 3 models? How can you do all of those things? Those are all just getting started in some form. And when we speak about this again next year, you will see that there's going to be much more of development that's happening.
Okay, we look forward to seeing you next year. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for some new informations. Yeah, updated. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing with us. And for more cutting edge insights and updates from COMPUTEX 2025, subscribe to Advantech's YouTube channel and stay connected to the latest AI and technology. Until next time, this is Victoria Liu. Thank you for watching and joining us. For more information, please stay tuned. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.